In this video, we take a trip down memory lane to 1982, and the Leeds Service Crew carry their notorious reputation to Cleethorpes and Grimsby Town's Blundell Park Stadium. What happened next has gone down in hooligan folklore. Let's hear the stories. Oh, and watch till the end for a wee bonus. First we have Grimsby Town fan Graham told us, "The August sun had barely lifted over the Humber when word started spreading. They'd arrived early. Leeds, hundreds, maybe thousands of them, pouring into Cleethorpes like an invading army. It was the opening day of the season, 1982-83, and Grimsby Town's first game in the second division after years in the wilderness. But before a ball had even been kicked, our town was under siege. The papers later called it an orgy of drinking, looting and fighting. They weren't far off. By Friday evening, the prom looked more like a war zone than a seaside resort. The Fisherman's, the Dolphin, the Vic, all had windows smashed. Leeds fans were sprawled across benches, bus shelters, even the beach huts, drinking and shouting their way through the night. You could hear them from the seafront to Trinity Road. I was 23 back then, living off Humberstone Road. We'd known there'd be trouble, but no one expected this many. 8, maybe 9,000 Leeds, and not just their regulars. Blokes from Doncaster, Barnsley, even Hull had joined the mob, drawn by the scent of chaos. It wasn't football anymore. It was an invasion. Saturday morning, me and a couple of the lads drove through Cleethorpes just to see it for ourselves. Vans full of town boys were out, what we used to call rapid action. Small groups darting through side streets, taking on Leeds wherever they found them. The off-licence on Trinity had already been turned over, bottles gone, shelves wrecked. It was chaos. You'd turn a corner and there'd be a dozen Leeds half-drunk looking for a row. By the time we made our way toward Blundell Park, we had to ditch the scarves. The main road was crawling with Leeds, singing, smashing bottles, giving it the big one. Near Sydney Park, a few of us got cornered and legged it through the back streets. They were everywhere. Even up by the cemetery in Cleethorpes, there were scuffles. It felt like no matter where you went, you were walking into another ambush. Inside the pubs, it was no different. The Vic had stood its ground the night before. A few of our older lads, proper hard cases, had stood by the door and picked them off 2 by 2 when they tried to push in. Word was a few Leeds went out the back door on their heads. But there were too many of them to hold back forever. Every time the police thought they had things under control, another wave arrived. This is before Cleethorpes Beach Patrol and the Grimsby Hit Squad were a thing. By kick-off, the tension was thick enough to choke on. The new Findus stand was being used for the first time, and loads of Leeds had somehow got tickets for the top tier. I was in the pontoon, shoulder to shoulder, the noise unreal. When Leeds came out, the roar was deafening, not the usual away support, but a full-on wall of sound, and behind it, menace. The match itself is a blur. Kilmore scored early for us. The place went mad, and for a brief moment it felt like football again. But then you looked up at the Findus and saw seats flying. Leeds fans were ripping them out and hurling them down into the crowd below. Some even climbed over barriers trying to get into the pontoon. It was mayhem. A copper near the steps took one look at what was happening and legged it. We followed. No point standing there waiting to get bricked. When Lorimer equalised late on, most of us didn't even notice. The focus had shifted to survival. The Osmond was being torn apart, literally. Back panels kicked in. Blokes pissing into the gardens behind. It was like they wanted to leave a mark on every bit of the place. Trying to leave the ground afterward was worse. The bottleneck by the Imperial corner turned into a killing zone. Leeds were above us in the Findus still, throwing anything they could get their hands on. Bottles, wood, even broken seats. A lad next to me got clipped on the head, went down. You couldn't move, just shuffle and hope you didn't take one yourself. Outside, Grimsby Road was pure carnage. Every street you turned down, there were fights breaking out. Transit vans full of lads were getting ambushed, some getting it, some dishing it out. Windows smashed, alarms blaring, police sirens everywhere. It was like Beirut, someone said later, and they weren't exaggerating. A mate's windscreen got shattered. Another got chased halfway to Lestrange Street before ducking into a taxi. I remember one of our lads getting bottled near the Flam, blood everywhere, and hearing later that someone got stabbed near the post office on Barcroft Street. It was that kind of day, rumours flying faster than fists. But we didn't back down. For every van load of Leeds, there were town lads hitting back, coming out of side alleys, throwing bricks, standing their ground. It wasn't organised, not like the big firms you hear about now, just pride. Our town, our club. We weren't about to be run off our own streets. By Sunday morning, Cleethorpes was wrecked. Shop fronts smashed, beer cans and glass littering the seafront, burnt out cars near the ground. The police looked shell-shocked, and who could blame them? That weekend changed how people around here saw football. It wasn't just a game anymore. It was tribal, dangerous and raw. Even now, more than 40 years on, I can't think about Leeds without feeling that same old fire in my gut. They came thinking they could take our town. They left knowing we weren't so easy to roll over. We might have been outnumbered, but that day we stood our ground. And every lad who was there will tell you the same thing. Grimsby didn't bow down to Leeds. Leeds Service Crew member John told us, "We'd been up for it all summer. The fixtures came out and there it was. Grimsby Town away, bank holiday weekend. First game of the season, fresh down from the First Division, and every lad in Leeds was talking about it. A Seaside piss-up and a chance to remind the lower leagues what Division 1 pedigree looked like." By Friday afternoon, the service crew were rolling east in convoy. Cars, vans, coaches, even a few hitchhikers. The A180 Link Road wasn't even finished then, so it was the long way round through Laceby and Nuns Corner. I'll never forget that first stop at Tate's, the old spa. 2 coachloads of us piled in for beer and grub, and within minutes the place was stripped. Cans everywhere, shelves tipped, locals frozen in shock. It set the tone. Cleethorpes was already humming when we arrived. It's funny. You picture a sleepy little resort, families eating chips by the sea. But that Friday night it looked like something out of a war film. Everywhere you went there were Leeds. Shelters full of sleeping bags. Blokes passed out on the beach. Bottles clinking. "Yorkshire by the sea," someone said, and we all laughed. By 8 o'clock the first pubs were smashed up. The Fisherman's, the Vic, the Toby, all got a visit. There weren't enough coppers to control it. A few of the locals tried standing their ground in some of the bars, but they were outnumbered 10 to 1. Still, you had to give them credit. A few Grimsby lads in the Vic gave as good as they got, picking lads off as they tried to get in the door. One of ours went through a window. Another got bottled and crawled out the back. For a town their size, they had some game. We didn't care. We were Leeds United, and after years of Europe and Old Trafford, we'd landed in the lower leagues. Time to make a statement. That night, Cleethorpes was ours. Come Saturday morning, the hangovers were replaced by adrenaline. You could feel it in the air, sun blazing, trains rolling in, and the streets crawling with Leeds. Some had been there all night, still drinking on the beach or in boarded-up houses near the seafront. Others had just got off the early trains. Thousands of us. Everywhere you looked, there were white shirts, Stone Island, Pringle, Adidas. We poured through the town like a tide, singing, swaggering, ready for anything. The locals stared from their doorways. You could tell they'd never seen anything like it. Then it started to turn. Near Sydney Park, a few Grimsby lads came out the side streets. No scarves, no colours, just quiet eyes and clenched fists. One of ours gave them lip. Next thing, a brick came flying. Bottles rained down, and suddenly it wasn't just a march to the ground anymore. It was on. You'd get little battles breaking out everywhere. 10 of us here, 20 of them there. It wasn't organised, more like a series of ambushes. Grimsby might have been smaller, but they weren't soft. Vans full of locals roared past, windows down, bricks flying. One lot even jumped out near the cemetery, swinging hammers. Proper Wild West stuff. By the time we reached Blundell Park, the tension was electric. You could tell it was going to blow. The new Findus stand was open that day, and somehow a load of our lot had tickets up there. From the seats you could see right down onto the pontoon end, where the home mob were packed in. Before kick-off, we gave it a go. Tried pushing into their end, testing the gates. Didn't last long, mind. They stood firm. We might have had the numbers, but they had the heart that day. Inside, the noise was unreal. Marching On Together roared out and echoed off the new stand, but you could feel the edge. Every chant, every cheer had venom in it. When Grimsby scored first through Kilmore, a few bottles flew. Then the seats started going, ripped up, launched over the barrier, raining down into the crowd below. We'd taken over the Findus end by force of numbers, and for a few minutes it was bedlam, but Grimsby weren't backing off. In the pontoon they were surging forward, trading punches with the few of ours who'd tried to slip in. It was full-on war now, and even the police had scarpered. We saw coppers running for the stairs, batons still in their belts, leaving the rest of us to it. Lorimer equalised late on, but no one cared. This wasn't about football anymore. It was about pride, noise, power. As the whistle blew, the mayhem spilled out onto the streets. Getting out was like stepping into a battlefield. Grimsby Road was chaos. Every junction had a scrap going on. Bottles flying, bricks bouncing off cars, transit screeching around corners. You couldn't tell who was chasing who. One of our vans got bricked near Lestrange Street. Another mob of ours stormed down to the beach. Even for us, it felt like too much, out of control, uncoordinated and dangerous. And here's the thing. We'd come expecting an easy ride. A little seaside town, small club, small fan base. But Grimsby showed teeth that day. Their lads came out from every street, every corner, swinging. A few of ours admitted later they'd never seen locals turn like that, not even in bigger cities. They had pride, and they weren't letting a mob from Leeds trample it. By Sunday morning, Cleethorpes was wrecked, shop fronts boarded, pubs smashed, cars vandalised. It looked like a riot zone, and in truth, that's exactly what it had been. When the dust settled, even the most hardened of us knew we'd underestimated them. Sure, we'd left our mark, but so had they. They didn't run. They fought for their patch. Back home in Leeds, when the stories went round the pubs, there was a mix of pride and grudging respect. We'd gone mob-handed to a place no one thought would stand up, and for once, the underdogs didn't flinch. Grimsby Town, a nothing club, a fishing port, a dot on the map. But that August bank holiday, they gave Leeds United one hell of a welcome. Even the service crew couldn't deny it. We invaded their town, but they made damn sure we'd never forget it. We thank Graham and John for their recollections. It's clear that the Leeds Service Crew saw this match as a mass invasion of a smaller club. But Grimsby certainly didn't shy away from protecting their manor. They appear to have done quite a good job in this David and Goliath event. Here's the bonus of the modern-day version of both firms. Enjoy. Thanks for watching. Please comment, share, like and subscribe, as it really helps our channel grow to give you bigger, better content. Until the next video, bye for now.